Hippies are not bulletproof.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
This is We Watch Movies. This week's movie is 9. 9 is a 2009 animated science fiction post-apocalyptic action film directed by Shane Acker, starring Elijah Wood, John C. Reilly, Jennifer Connelly, Christopher Plummer, Crispin Glover, Martin Landau, and Fred Tatasciore. How about a plot synopsis?
All right, so in the future, humanity's kind of gone, and there's like these machines, but there's these little like rag dolls with souls who are trying to at least make it to another day.
Spoilers for They Have Souls.
Yeah, spoiler, yeah, they have souls. Or they have like parts of a soul, which is something I'm going to talk about later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went ahead and spoiled it, but damn it, you should have watched the movie before listening to this anyways.
Yeah. What do you have first?
Wonder why the man chose to make them so small. This is what happened after Little Big Planet. Hey, look.
It is. I mean, it's very, very much Sackboy, isn't it?
Yeah, and then the next comment, because this is all kind of like an opening scene, but it's like, hey, look, it's Detroit.
Where do you think this actually is? Because there's a very like post-World War II like combination of Nazis and Soviet, like there's a chancellor dude and they have official looking uniforms and things, and it's very fascistic in a way, but it looks like bombed out England, but they never say, and I don't even know necessarily that it's Earth. We just assume that it is because they never tell us otherwise, but we have no idea where or when it is.
Well, they don't exactly explain to us when or where, but it's not important. It's just there was people, and then there was robots, and then people were at war with each other, and then people were at war with robots, and everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Except for the 9 Sackboys. Well, with the movie having started up and, 9 going off and it kind of exploring before number 2 saves him, and they run into that robot that's made of like normal appliance parts and then a skull of, I guess, what's a dog or a cat. And the first thing I just thought of was like, this is like something that a twisted child would make. And I think of like Toy Story, Sid and all, and all of his little creative stuff. Like that's what I think of like when I saw that, and it's just like, wow, like that's kind of weird. Like why? I can understand them, you have the robot making robots and all this other kind of business, but what's the need for having that horrifying, we need a bone something another just to attach the stuff to? It's just, other than the fact that it's obviously freaky and it does a great job being like, hey, this is a bad thing and it looks scary, so it goes hand in hand, but still.
I mean, that's actually like probably 5 or 6 of my notes. I have the factory is super scary. Bird thing is scary. The machine is scary. That thing, like 2 attached to the end of it with
the snake thing with the arms and the sewing. Yeah, that's
scary. The soul transfer mask is scary. Air raid sirens are scary. It's like half my notes are like, well, that's scary. That's scary. That's scary. Oh man. Actually, that's one of the, I think 2 rating descriptors that there are on this thing is scary images.
Yeah.
I think that first beast thing is supposed to be I don't know if it's ever said or if it's anywhere obvious in the movie, but one of the songs on the soundtrack that's from that section at the beginning is called Cat Beast Attack. So apparently it's supposed to be a cat skull.
Yeah, that can make sense. So, like, I won't argue with it. But okay, so you have like the doctor, and he's made these doll creatures, and he put like portions of his soul into them. And that it totally needs to be explained. But my problem is, if they're supposed to be like, what's next? You know, they're supposed to be what survives. Why did he make them so small? Because, like, for them to be human-like and all of that hoopla, yeah, to live in like a human world after all this shit's happened, you'd think you'd make them at least a little bit larger.
I don't know. I guess maybe so that they could hide while the war was still going on. But then what about after that?
Yeah.
Also, they don't really seem to be able to make more of them, despite the sort of romantic sort of tone of the hand holding at the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's something of a future, but it does seem like it's maybe limited and short-sighted. I mean, there's nothing that's trying to kill them by the end, but I don't. Yeah, what are they supposed to do? I don't know.
You know, like a brick could fall on one of them and crush them, and then like, oh well, that one's done. No, they don't have a way of replacing themselves or increasing in number. They don't seem to have the capability of building the more advanced technologies like the brain computer did. But, you know, at that point in time, it's like, okay, so they're trying to live, but what are they trying to live for?
I don't know. And the talisman thingy, the scientist like shows him like press it this way and it'll like do something, but it doesn't seem like that's
he didn't say what it would do.
No, he didn't say what it would do. Like, you're making an exposition film right now to tell, like, there's no reason to be cryptic about it to tell Nine what is supposed to happen, but he gives him very little information.
Yeah.
So, and
well, okay.
Also didn't do that good a job of making sure he saw it either.
Yeah. Like, here, let me just like die and drop papers on it. I want to know how long Nine was sleeping or unconscious or whatever.
Yeah, quite a bit of time, I guess, because, I mean, well, it can't have been very long because the scientist is still there on the floor and he's dead, but he's still...
Yeah, well, he doesn't look like he spent much time decomposing, but...
So it must not have been too awful long, but it's...
Well, maybe there could be other people who are still alive. Because you'd figure he would have died, you know, during the war because of all the stuff going on.
Well, the gas in particular, I guess. Because when one tells the story, he says the gas killed everything.
Yeah.
And
well, actually, that is one of my notes, is gas kills everything.
Yeah.
And there's like always, if it's the future and they're fighting robots, unless the robots look like people, there's always walker robots. Like the bipedal, like this thing looks like a super advanced version of something from Star Wars. And you just see them and they have like a little minigun on the front of them. They're just like walking. It's like, yep, it's a walker robot. It's going to kill people.
Yeah. I don't actually have any specific notes about them, but they're kind of scary too. Especially when like they go into the factory and they sort of walk through, just like there's all of the ones just being stored there hanging. And they're just walking through with the light bulb on a stick. Yeah, it's not really clear how much longer. I guess it took longer to make him before he did the transfer because he's so much more detailed. I mean, 2 talks about how like he looks at his hands and comments on the carved wood and the molded copper and the detail and the craftsmanship that isn't really present in any of the I mean, they get better each higher number. There's more detail and more purpose-built looking pieces and things. I mean, one of the things that I did like was because 1 was the first one, even like his eyes like don't iris as round as everyone else's does.
Yeah. Well, they had like a much older look to them, you know, like while everyone's did pretty much open and close in a perfect circle. They changed like shape. So like they weren't ever circle-like, but, you know, whenever he was looking in a direction or if he was trying to focus, you know, it would actually change the shape.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and that was pretty cool. And then he was always wearing a hat and like the cape to hide up his imperfections compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
And when he takes the hat off, you can see where instead of it being like a head, it just looks like they like wrapped it up and tied it off.
Yeah.
Okay, now as they kind of go along and he gets better at making these things, I just want to know why 8 is the big goofy one compared to the rest of them, which seem higher. And like, I can understand, he's supposed to be like the big strong one, but still, compared to everyone else, like he is stupid and the rest are of a higher intelligence just by standard.
Yeah, well, or at least to a point. I mean, I think they're all supposed to be, because they all have pieces of him, it's sort of an even more extreme version of like the split Kirk in the transporter accident. It's like not just the strong side and the weak side. It's like each one of them has like a specific personality trait that's like the just in them. And I guess for some reason, to have him be the big tough one, he just has the sort of tough, like brutish ness, just the more animal type stuff, and so he just didn't get any of the, or not. I mean, he's not really as stupid as he seems some of the time, because he is able to sort of look and think and figure stuff out, like when they have to fight the bird thing. But yeah, he is less, or he does seem to at least be more stupid, or at least the least intelligent of all of them.
I will add that the combat versus the bird robot, throwing the blade into the fan was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. Apparently magnets are drugs.
Yeah, that was like my next thought. It's just like, yeah, go stand watch. Okay, I'm totally going to get high on this magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of Seven's bird skull helmet?
Well, whenever they were talking about how so many of them were like disappearing and stuff like that, obviously you knew they couldn't have all been gone, because there's no point in having a character named 9 and then it's like, oh, we're only going to show you like 3 people. Like, no, there's going to be like some kind of recap or something. And so when they find 7 and it's like, oh, 2 and 7 are here, and, you know, 2's alive, and, you know, 7 saves the day because for some reason she's a badass that wears a bird skull as a helmet and runs around with an X-Acto.
Yes. X-Acto knives.
Yeah. Yeah. She, it's like, and like the, what was it? Like we meet her because she decapitates the robot with the X-Acto, but like in the later scene, she tries it again on a different robot and fails. And like, I just love her recovery. It's like, well, let me try that again.
Yeah. Let me try that again.
Puts
like, the helmet back down.
Yep. Now, I think it was number 5. 5 was the one with one eye.
Yes.
Okay. Well, because I was thinking, so like, because one was the guy with the hat. 2 was the old man that ended up being lost, and I was trying to remember if 3 and 4 were the twins or not.
Yes.
Okay. So like number 5, and he makes the comment about that he has one eye, which is better for him because now he can just concentrate on one thing. And I'm just like, if you have 2 eyes and you concentrate at 2 things at the same time because you have 2 eyes, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Now you just can't see depth.
Yeah. It's like trying to play catch with somebody. It's like, hey, you can concentrate on playing catch, but you suck at it. But that was the thing, is I noticed that most of them were made of like the similar burlap kind of material, and they were all brown looking. But that was whenever 7 was introduced, and she was white. Just, she stood out more compared to the other ones.
Well,
and,
she has to be a different color because she's a girl, so she has to be differently identifiable from everybody else.
Well, that being said, it's still just, they could have made her purple or, I don't know, silver or something different. I'm just saying.
How would silver be much different than white?
Shiny.
You don't want shiny. Shiny would be easier to be seen and get killed.
I'm just saying.
Also, the machine is shiny.
Yeah, the machine is shiny.
So,
and anyone who builds like the brain machine and it looks like that, and they think, oh, well, this will help bring peace. No, nothing that looks like that will ever bring peace.
No. I mean, they're like fitting it into the arms piece, and it's like the eyes shifting back and forth and around, and like, yeah, that's bad news.
Yeah, it's just now. Okay, so 2 is dead, and like, I didn't really feel bad for any of the things that happened to these dolls. Not because it's like, oh, well, they're dolls and blah this and blah that. It's just the way they just did it so fast that anytime someone was to die or whatever, it's just like, oh well. But for 2, like they had 2's body and he was like tore in half because they used the brain used the body, like the dead body of 2, to make like the decoy snake robot thing. And so when they like freed the body and they like, oh, we're gonna have like a near Viking kind of burial, and they just put him on the raft and sent him down the water. I was like, that did kind of like, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Now they get to that factory, and I want to know, why is there an oil pump outside of just a factory?
Well, it's not the only one. There's a number of them around. I guess it wants them close because it needs the energy, and so it just wants to. If you put them close by, they're easier to protect and stuff.
But that's the thing. Is like, they're like standard oil pumps for like an oil refinery. I don't
know. I guess maybe it's refined on site or something. This doesn't look like the factory's that big, but
yeah. And when they first showed like the red eye activates and it sucked the soul out of 2, and then it was like making extra robots, like that was like the oh shit kind of thing, where it's like, yep, all these arms and pointy bits, and it's just grabbing pieces, and like that looks like a spear, and this ain't gonna be good, and like, oh, that's like the nightmares making more nightmares.
Yes. Which is, I think, part of what maybe makes it scarier than it has much right to be. That it's sort of... because it's very much the sort of... like, the worst thing you can do is, like, let a machine make other machines, like, independently.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, Skynet.
Well, it is... I mean, the current term for what that eventually will be, the sort of intelligence that surpasses humans and then makes ones better than it, or, reproducing machines, is the singularity. Which if Kate was here, she would immediately say, I don't want to hear about it. But because clones and the singularity are, I suppose, potentially frightening things, but
well, Skynet and
yes, Skynet,
Terminator. Yeah, it's like, that's why you don't.
Skynet didn't have red eyes, though. Although I guess the Terminators did when he took the skin off.
Yeah.
So, red glowing eyes mean bad.
Yeah. So, any of you robots out there listening, keep them red eyes. Here's looking at you, kid.
Machines of peace. While they're mounting machine guns to them. Like,
yeah, that's completely.
I understand he's like the chancellor or whatever, but does anybody buy this? Like, really? Just like, of course, he immediately does go on to say stuff about prosperity of the state, and so he gets very keeping the government really quickly afterwards in his speech. But I guess people still went along with it.
Well, it's peace through superior firepower.
Yeah, but against who?
Enemies of the state.
Will Smith, Gene Hackman, enemy of the state.
Hippies. Fuck hippies. Hippies are not bulletproof.
I wouldn't think that the machines would be either.
Well, hippies don't have guns. Hippies have flowers.
I suppose.
And flowers normally don't involve explosives or weaponry of any kind.
Unless you're the Joker.
Yeah, but That's not a real flower. That's a fake flower. That's a decoy. That's to like lure you into like a false sense of security before he like sprays poison in your face, or laughing gas, or something terrible and twisted that he'll then cackle at maniacally. And
yeah, that's the thing that I guess the only thing that's missing from the evilness of the machine is it doesn't laugh evilly or anything, because it doesn't really make any sound at all except for the mechanical parts moving.
Okay, the machine, the brain machine, it activated because they put the talisman there, and it like sucked the soul out of 2, and that's what caused it to activate. But the thing that gets me is the guy who made the brain machine, why did he even have that on it at all?
Yeah.
Like what was the need to have that thing on the brain machine for any purpose whatsoever?
Well, and it's before he thought and also, why is that bad for it to take the souls? Except for just being the only thing that would then exist. But he says that the mistake that he made in making the machine was that it didn't have a soul, and that was what made it easy to corrupt and made it easy to be evil. So if you gave it the pieces of the soul, why wouldn't that help it to be less evil?
Yeah. Like what would have happened if it did absorb all 9?
I don't know. I mean, and it seems to have that in mind as what it wants to do. We're supposed to think that that's its evil plan to take the last of everything over. But there isn't any indication that it even knew about, except I guess that it maybe has the scientist's brain. If it's just sort of like he made a copy of it or something, that it would know that that was a thing for it to need to do or to want to do, or that it would be some, and it is, because it doesn't seem like, it doesn't make it more powerful or anything. It doesn't seem to. It's just that in doing that, it's sort of killing the characters that are supposed to be the good guys.
When they're fighting it and they use the like the barrel of explosive liquids,
oil.
Well, I guess it's supposed to be oil.
Well, he looks over at the oil rig and says, "We'll need a full barrel." So I'm assuming it's oil.
It could be space oil.
It's not space, and I'm not playing the thing. Oil in space.
No, it's because it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be oil, and they throw it down there and it explodes, and it destroys like the entire factory.
Yeah,
it's like, how much stuff was in there that actually could explode? Because like,
well, I
machines
guess
just don't explode. The
factory runs on oil, I guess.
Well, I guess it could run on oil, but it's been closed down for a while. You think something might dry up or anything.
It was operating though, so yeah, it was a whole lot of exploding.
It was like a whole lot of exploding,
which of course didn't destroy the machine.
Of course not, because we had to have like extra climactic scenes added on and a bridge. Okay, and so like, what kind of technology sucks the soul out of a person and then like puts it in something else?
Dark science.
Yeah, they call that bullshit.
It's in a book. They have it in a book. It must be a thing.
Yeah, I guess it has to be a thing, but
that's not even a thing. Did you make that up?
Yes, I made that up. It's a thing if I made it up.
You have this machine, and it's supposed to like suck your soul out and put it in something else. But how does he manage to do it 9 times?
Well,
because he makes each one individually, and if each one is supposed to have a fragment of his soul, like that means that he like made one and then put like a portion of it in there. And like, how does he even choose to do like a portion?
Because he's Voldemort.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like he had to, like, I guess like all them robots killing people counted. It's like, well, that's murder. Spell.
Yeah, because he invented the machine, so I guess he's
he made
sort
the
of
brain.
responsible.
And when did they find the body for 5? Because like at the end when they have like the graves.
Oh yeah, because
And
they
they're like,
sort of
and they yeah.
I don't know. I guess
like,
maybe
remember,
it's an empty grave.
Well,
It's a
body
symbolic
obviously
grave.
came from like not good enough. Well, it's just like they had to find the body for 5, and like they already sent off the body for 2, and it's just like, oh, we made this pentagram shaped spiral thingy, and the souls are going to stand at each corner and then dissipate into the sky, and then like thunder is going to happen.
Yeah, and there's like soul DNA in the raindrops, or what is that?
Yeah, I have no clue. Bunch of malarkey. Okay, well, my last note is the whenever 9, and I think it's when 5 and 9, like they get rescued by 7, and they escape after losing 2, and that's when they meet 3 and 4, and 3 and 4 are like categorizing stuff, and they're saving it in like the big book that's like in part of the library, and like the book has like the pages, and it's like a scrapbook. It's like a scrapbook, and they have like all the ropes going from the book to the different parts of the shelves. Like I loved that. Like that was great.
Yeah.
Because it was like everything that was going on was like in that book that was relevant to them, even if they didn't know it or not. It was just like, okay, well, this seems relevant to what's going on right now. And it was put in the book, and then, the rope and all that kind of business. So I was for it. And then having like the eyes as a projector.
And also, I liked that it looked like it took effort to do that, because like he sort of collapses into the other one's arms at the end of the newsreel.
Sackboy.
So how do we feel about stars?
Well, I don't know. Like, I enjoyed this movie, but at the same time, I didn't enjoy the movie. It's kind of weird. Like, maybe in 5 or 10 years, I could totally watch it again and be like, oh, yeah, well, like, there's cool stuff going on in this movie, and, everything's scary as hell, and, nightmares are made of this, but,
yes.
I guess I'll go ahead and give it a 3, because I would still watch it again, and I would tell people to go watch it, but I didn't have a fun-gasm while doing it.
Well, see, the problem is that when I just watch it and I'm just like, and it's just happening, and I'm like, well, that's super scary, and this is like the end of the world, and hey, Sackboys, and bad science is bad, and the war, and well, that's scary. Like, I feel like, yeah, this is like a thing, and people should know about this, and 5 stars, but it really asks a lot of questions it doesn't answer. And I'm not sure that what they did that we're supposed to think is good is not the opposite of what they thought they were doing, and that it wouldn't have been better the other way. And so I don't know. I'm like really conflicted about it, because I do really enjoy watching it, but which is what we're supposed to grade on, but I don't like giving other things a pass for like, and I've argued so much about comedies, like it made me laugh. I'm like, yeah, but it was still terrible and dumb, so no. But and if we could do such things, it would probably be 3.5. I mean, it's a 5 while it's happening, but it's not, and I hate just agreeing, but I guess I have to say 3 stars also. I'd like to say 4, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can let myself get away with that.
Okay.
Well, that's all we have to say about 9. Join us next time when we'll be watching Starship Troopers. We'll see you then.
Later.
You owe me a cape.
No kicks.
This is We Watch Movies.
but it's like a long time ago, there was like the movie rental place, and we used to rent movies there when it was like just VHS, and then they started getting DVDs, and we got DVD players, and I started renting DVDs and all that kind of business. And the guy that ran the place, he also did like a little pizza joint too, so you could like get pizza and a movie at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a pretty cool guy, and he had one of those like fake DVD rewinders. And he just had it sitting on the counter, and it was just fake. You could buy them, but they didn't do anything. And I remember like one day, like me and my mother were in there because my dad was in the Mad Butcher getting some groceries, and there was just this lady, and she had to been like maybe early 30s, and she put her DVD on it and hit the button for it to rewind. And I was just standing there because he had like stuff on his counter you could buy, and I was interested in it because I was a kid and interested in that kind of shit. And I just like watched her just watch it because it does. It spins. And I just watched her watch it spin. And I just stood there, just completely baffled at the fact that she was doing that. And then when it stopped, she put it back in the case and handed it to him. And then he just acted like nothing happened. And then she walked off, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like, I couldn't say anything because it was just so fucking mind blowing. It's just like what the fuck just happened here?
Yeah.